Hi friends and dear students, I am Ashok Kumar Sharma, the chairman of People Welfare Foundation, director of AK Study Center. Today I am going to discuss on the topic of nationalism on the basis of class 10. Actually, what is the nationalism? That this topic has started on the painting of the Frederick Sorio composed in 1848. That in this figure, actually in these topics, as you can see on the page on the book, or you can see this painting in internet, that this painting is showing that there is a painting. In that painting, that peoples from other, especially other European countries, actually in this painting, which theme is shown, actually that is not real. That is just like imagination. That is the imagination of the Frederick Sorio. That what types of the nationalism should be. Actually, this is by the help of this painting. Actually, Frederick Sorio just thought an ideology that was the utopian style. Utopian style means that was the utopian. That was not based on reality. Idealist, not realist. So that by the help of this picture, Frederick Sorio tried to show us that there is a time, and this painting had been made in during the time of 1848, when there is establishment of nation state or nationalism. What happens in nationalism? That by the help of this painting, that actually one statue is being seen, that that statue is holding on her left hand that there was this light. Light is the symbol of nation state, or light is the symbol of thus wisdom and the knowledge. And on the second hand, that actually it shows the charter of rights of man. The charter of rights of man, that actually now the people got the right of man, or like fundamental rights, right of equality, right of dignity, and right of living with dignity. And in this picture, it is shown that the people of many countries are queuing, are standing on the queue, just like a train from one country to other countries. This is a symbol of establishment of the nation state. But in reality, till then, that before 18th century, there was no establishment of nation state. Only two countries were established nation states. Those were America and Switzerland. But in the race of nationalism, gradually one by one, there is establishment of nationalism. That we say that during the time of 1860, establishment of nationalism in Italy, and in 1871, establishment of nationalism in Germany. Similarly, there is establishment of a nation state in France while coming 1848 BC. So first of all, that before discussing about nationalism, that I would like to discuss what is the meaning of this nationalism. That is a great scholar Renan. According to the Renan, the definition of the nationalism, that not the definition of nationalism is only where people has the right to freedom, like equality and having the voting rights. But Renan says that after crossing the definition of this, there is also extension of the definition of the nation state, like no other country, no other specific or no other nationalist country, no other country desire to have colonize over other countries, or establish their own monopoly other countries. Renan says that if a country is a nation state, then he will be on the basis of democratization, and he won't try to establish their control over other countries, or other countries, any national country or nation state won't try to capture the rights, the dignities of other states. This is the definition of the Renan. But what happens, we see after some time, that actually the definition starts changing. We have some definition of nationalism. That to understand this nationalism, that first of all, that glimpses of the nationalism had started in France. First of all, in European states, especially European countries, among those European countries, in France, first of all, the glimpses of nation state or glimpses of nationalism started in France. As we see, the root of this nationalism before 1848 establishment of nation state in France, that we see that times there was the rule of Louis XVI, and Louis XVI had been eliminated and had been guillotined. Then again, after a few times, the fundamental rights, a few rights like voting rights had been given to the common peoples. The people of France again started to think over about this view of nation state or nationalism. And in this middle time, in this gap, Napoleon came and established himself as an emperor. And actually all of the powers has been controlled by the Napoleon, and Napoleon became the chancellor of France, and Napoleon controlled the power of the France. Napoleon took many changes, many reforms in France, in the administration of the France. Just like many changes, Napoleon protected the elite classes the interest. Actually, on account of protecting the elite classes interest, Napoleon protected, because Napoleon had to rule on over that area for a long time, and Napoleon had to have the wealth and property, and so like they kept as well as the aristocracy and did not eliminate that aristocracy class. It means that he did not establish democracy, a democratic value totally in that France. That was the view against of the democracy. Napoleon made the administrative system transparent. Napoleon did many administrative reforms, like Napoleon became very strict about administration, and Napoleon eliminated the corruption, like corruption in the recruitment of the elite posts and higher posts. So it was changed, Napoleon, and the recruitment system had been reformed, and now again it became the recruitment system on the basis of the competitive examination competition. Then on the basis of the competition, recruitment started. Then what happened, that now the able candidates and competent candidates could be selected for the administration and for the armies of the France. On account of this powerful administration or powerful military system of the France, Napoleon could capture the other regions, other countries. Like in the first times, the ideology of nationalism was based on the democratization values, like freedom of equality, freedom of dignity, freedom of fundamental rights, rights to every people who are having property, land, or not having, even women, everybody had to be given the fundamental rights. These types of the valued were considered by the people of French or people of other neighboring states of the European countries. So what happens that the reforms went on under the Napoleon in France, that he did, and he did not reform about the rights of the women. After reform, he did many reforms, but he did not give the voting rights to the women, and Napoleon kept the women under the jurisdiction, under the authority of the man, or under the authority of the guardians. So we can see that it was the value of against of the democracy which was done by the Napoleon. So Napoleon just like violated or spoiled the democracy or democratic values. That there is a question which may be arise, that how did Napoleon destroy the value of the democracy in the France? That first of all we can say that he did not eliminate totally the aristocracy class interest in France, first of all. Second, he did not give the voting right to the women, and that one point, that Napoleon did not eliminate the property right. So not eliminating the property right, Napoleon kept the interest as well earlier of the elite class interest, because elite class had to have the huge amount of the property, and Napoleon had to have a huge amount of the property. So this types of the value. In the first times, the ideology of nation state or nationalism was went on popularized, and all over the French these types of the administration and has been established under the Napoleon, and this ideology, this view started to be spread those into those regions, into those neighboring and countries of the European countries. When in the first times the ideology of the nationalism spread, then these ideas of the nationalism was welcomed by other people, other states, other countries of the European countries. And what is the matter that why, one question, that why did other peoples of the other European countries welcome to the Napoleon or to the Napoleon armies? That just like before 18th century, there was no nation state, and the nation states or nationalism types of the ideology was totally new. So that times means that other countries were all of the other countries were not as today. These countries are standing just like England, just like Germany, just like Poland, just like Czechoslovakia, and this Italy, and these types of the countries. At that times, all of like many of these countries were divided into many kingdoms, many cantons, many dukes, and were also involved with the feeling of aristocracy class versus common class, and other these provinces were just like differentiated, and were their differences among their language, their cultures, their ethnic problems. They were just like difference on the basis of race and color of their skins. So that times did not understand, and also there was so much conspiracy and patchwork like of that. So did not used to have feelings, have the great feelings of the nationalisms among the people of that specific countries. And also people were suffering from just like economic crisis, starvation, and the different types of the sociological problem, economic hardship, and so that the people were in very much trouble and very much crisis and very much frustration and tension. So this ideology when went to those people of those European countries where there was not establishment of the nation states, that we see that with the ideology of nation state or nationalisms, when thus Napoleon went to other regions, to other countries, and promised to the people of other countries that make me king, make me emperor, and just have a company with us, and with your support we will together eliminate the aristocratic class from your country, and I will become ruler, and I will guide you, I will establish in your country a nation state, and I will do unification of your country, and I will give we will give all of the rights, fundamental rights and democratic rights to all of you. But when time went on, then it was clear, it became clear that it was totally cheating by the French armies, by the Napoleon, that they judge Napoleon on account of their self-interest and self-economic interest. They started to capture the other rights of the peoples of other countries, like started to hinder the freedom of expression, started to crush the against voices of other peoples, and started increasing the taxes to get more and more revenues and tax from the people of that, and to make enrich himself at the powerful, for making the powerful the French country, French army. Already other countries, other European countries, many countries were suffering from economic hardship and starvation, like of these types of the economic problem and political problem and the sociological problem. And instead of that, Napoleon started to impose more and more taxes, and started to forcefully recruitment in the army. And though other peoples did not like to be employed in the army, because the Napoleon had need to more armies to capture and to storm other countries, then it was clear that as the Napoleon showed that we are harbingers instead of the harbingers or angels. Actually they are Napoleons, and the French armies were thus oppressors. And oppressors, it was clear. Then actually what happens, again there was a phase had been started of the obstacles and the agitations. Agitations between the agitations among French armies, French Napoleon, and those on those countries. So this is the second phase when there actually it was clear that first of all the purpose of the nation state was other, but after going the purpose of nation state was other. Nonetheless, nevertheless, actually the view of the nation state started or went on spreading other countries, and all other countries there was just much excitement and much development about the feelings about the ideology of the nation states, and once it was set up the fire of the nationalism in all of those European countries, and this ideology had been spread and welcomed by other peoples, and it was welcomed, the ideology of nation state or nationalism was welcomed by the peoples of all other states, and again the time has been changed. In these times there was no way, there was no chance of again the especially establishment of hardship of the aristocratic class. Nevertheless, although we see that after a few times there was establishment of for a few time of again establishment of the aristocratic class, but after going a long time again there was totally establishment of nation state or unification of the states, that in this way that actually thus glimpses of the fire started, the spark of the fire of the nationalism started in the France, but in this way the first nation states were established in other countries, and in this way that like Italy had become the nation state or unification of Italy completed in 1860, and while going in 1861 the unification of Germany, and while going on 1848 there was establishment of the nation state in France. That still even this time we see that even there is no voting right to the women, that we see that after going to the late last 19th century that we see that started of the fundamental rights or the voting rights started to given to the women. So this is so much a long time struggles went on by also for the sake of the equal voting rights by the women, and also women continued for their rights that times we see, and just like 18th century till 19th century, and with a so long time it took for establishment of these types of the nation states. But actually in the first times what was the definition of the nation or nationalism? Again the definition of the nation state or nationalism started to change and change. When we go to other further discussion on the topics, we will say actually there is the need to discussion and debate on much. It is a little glimpse, little introduction of this chapter. So we would like to discuss in details again many types of the question like what is the role of the Napoleon, what is the role of the Napoleonic Code established in 1804, what was the impact of the Napoleonic Code established in 1804, and what is the impact of unification of Germany, unification of Italy, what is the impact of Vienna Congress, what is the impact of the War of 7 years, and like of that, and sometimes we again see for some time, for a little times again establishment of nation state, again after a few time establishment of some or autocratic class, again and some origin of the middle class, again establishment, again origin of the industrial revolution, how industrial revolution took place in England, and in England just like mid 18th century, after going in 19th century we see that industrialization took place in other countries like France, like Germany and other countries, and again the scenario has been changed. The definition of this on this way, this nationalism, the again next step of the nationalism, again next step comes the reign of the imperialism, again this nationalism, industrialization, imperialism, again one step ahead, colonialism, and again the colonialism and mix of nationalism and nation state, feeling of nationalism and struggle for nationalism, and different types of the meaning and different types of the scenario and situation in other European countries, and also the other Asian countries like India and China and other Russia, like of that, and other different types of perspective in other countries like other world like America, Switzerland and so on. So discussing only be discussing on account of in the deep while going in this topic, and on topic by topic we will be from different types of view, different types of the angles, we will be able to understand the depth of the depth and the importance of this chapter. In this chapter, that's all. We will discuss again in details on a few questions, few concepts in next topics, next video. Till then, that's all. Thank you very much being with us. AK Study Center. I am Ashok Kumar Sharma, the chairman of People Welfare Foundation and the director of AK Study Center. Please subscribe our channel AK Study Center and share channels link to other students so other students can get benefit from us. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.